Oh, hello. In today's video, we're going to be talking about all of the news, leaks, rumours and speculation that's been around for Kill Team Hivestorm that I haven't been able to cover on the channel because I've been on holiday. We're going to talk about the new cinematic, we're going to talk about the official, unofficial leaks, we're going to talk about the 4chan rumours, and we're going to talk about the latest things from Chapter Master Valrak about what might be coming out in the next box after Hivestorm. Let's get on with it. So the very clear lesson here is that I should go on holiday more often, because before I went on holiday up to my parents' house, my in-laws in the northwest of England, there was a veritable content drought. And I had made loads of videos to put up on a nice schedule to stop the channel from dying about such diverse topics as Star Wars Shatterpoint and the comparative strengths and weaknesses of the Age of Sigmar app, which meant that I looked quite silly when all this Kill Team news was breaking and all the other channels were covering it and I was not. Now, you may have seen on the channel I published a very quick short that wasn't actually a short for some reason, and I want to say thank you to everybody that complimented my mum's roses. I did pass those on and she was quite pleased. But yeah, so those of you who are Discord Denzians knew what was going on, because I was keeping people updated in the Discord. Obviously, if you're watching this and you're not on the Discord, please do consider joining the Discord. The link is in the description. It is free. You don't need to be a paid member to join the Discord. It's free for everybody. Like and subscribe to the channel and all that stuff as well. If you've not already, that's really helpful. But yeah, loads of news. There's enough here for 4 separate videos. So this might end up being quite long, because I really want to, obviously it's time sensitive, so I really want to give my take on all these different things before this afternoon's big official reveal stream, right? So we're going to start off by talking about the cinematic. Now, obviously, as I said, a lot of other channels have already done their take and their run through of what they think we've learned from the cinematic trailer. I'm just going to go through with some stills, my own thoughts, okay? So, it's set on a ruined Imperial world, which does chime with the rumours that we've heard for what the terrain in the box is supposed to be, an Imperial ruins, Imperial city fight. I'm really leery about drawing too many conclusions about the terrain, because remember the trailer for Kill Team 2018 didn't actually show an Orc shantytown. It was kind of a generic industrial Imperial space. So hopefully this is indicative of the kind of terrain that we're going to get. There does seem to be 2 kill zones shown in the video. You've got this kind of urban environment, then they go down into a sewer, where it's more of a kind of closed-in kind of environment. I'm really hoping we get this kind of open, urban Gothic ruins stuff. I think Games Workshop really need a modern, really nicely produced, Chalaf, but shorter, right? Modular ruins set. So the next thing we see in the cinematic, going through vaguely in the order of the video, is we see this little kind of spider tank thing, which seems to have a hotshot volley gun. So I'm guessing this is going to be like a little Pokemon type unit for the Tempestus Scion side there, that maybe you can move around and fire your hotshot volley gun. Maybe it's going to have some kind of forward deploy or something like that. I also wanted to flag up, one of the first things we see in the cinematic is some Pathfinders being blown up with trivial ease, and I love this screenshot. I think this might be trying to tell us something which is going to relate to when we look at the 4chan rumours later on about Season 1 teams being replaced. It just seemed to me, and let me know what you think, it seemed to me to be a bit gratuitous and a bit kind of on the nose that they were having, because most of the Pathfinders just die to this thing in the video, right? This hotshot volley gun drone, right? And then the last Pathfinder dies to the rest of the team dropping in. Seems a bit gratuitous and violent, right? Especially this shot. I do wonder if Games Workshop is trying to communicate something with us, but we'll come back to this idea in a few moments. We then see 4 Tempestus Scions. So these are the jump pack Scions that we've known about this for a long time, right? Since Valrak first rumoured them. We're shown a sniper on the left. In the middle, a sergeant, which we later is shown to have a power sword. What seems to be a regular trooper to the right of him. And then a character with 2 pistols, a pretty standard kill team kind of archetype, kind of duelist 2 pistols character, probably can fire their pistols in combat, right? So I'm guessing that's some of the team that we'll have for the Scions. Vespid, they don't give us a good group shot of the Vespid. So we see a Vespid here with the traditional Vespid Neutron Blaster. Now I'm pretty interested to know how they're going to stat the Neutron Blaster in kill team. Because in 40k, a Neutron Blaster is the basic weapon of the Vespid squad, but the Vespid themselves are like an elite unit for a Tau army. So these are pretty powerful weapons in 40k. You get 2 attacks at strength 5, AP -2 with damage 2. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Neutron Blaster translates to kill team. Because there isn't an obvious way of putting it in. It does have a better AP and a better strength than a bolt rifle. But obviously you can't just increase... if you give the bolt rifle an extra point of damage, and if you give it AP1, right, in kill team, you've arrived at a crack grenade. So it's teasing out that space between where the bolt rifle is. Or you could just give it a bolt rifle but with +1 strength and damage, or a bolt rifle but with AP1 instead of P1. There are ways of doing it. But I'm guessing that maybe they're going to have some special rules to try and... showcase the power of these things, but I just think it's interesting for people to know that even the basic guns of the Vespid is a pretty powerful weapon, right? We also see a rail rifle, so they have a specialist with a sniper with a rail rifle, which is pretty cool. We know what a rail rifle... Obviously, they might change and tweak things because it is going to be a new edition, but we generally know what a rail rifle is and what a rail rifle does, so we know what we're expecting there. And then we see something that I think is a fusion grenade launcher, right? Based on just what it does in the video and what we see. This, I think, is a new weapon for the Tau. I don't think this is something that the Tau have used before, but I do think we see a Vespid with a fusion grenade launcher, which is what I'm going to expect that to be. Okay. And then we also see a Vespid with just a slightly new take on the communication helm. So this is this idea that they have... Vespid can't really communicate with the Tau, so the Vespid leader has a special kind of metal hat that lets him communicate with the Tau, and then it's hinted at, I think, in one of the Black Industries /FFG RPG source books, I think, where it insinuates that it's actually like a mind control hat. But yeah, so that's what that is. So it's interesting, in the video we see 4 characters a piece for each team. We see a leader, a basic trooper, and 2 specialists, plus the little basic robot for the Scions as well. I don't think this means that they're going to be 4-man teams or 5-man teams or anything like that. I feel like, I don't know how big the teams are going to be. I feel like we're probably going to get 10 models each in the box, because that's what they're going to want to sell for 40k, depending on how powerful they make those Vespid guns, and whether the Vespid actually have fly, because the Scions are shown pretty much having drop grav shoots, right? They walk along the ground, they drop down a thing, and then their things kick in as they drop in, and they do drop troop insertion, and their stuff works like grav shoots. The Vespid are seen as flying throughout the video, so maybe the Vespid are going to be kind of Harlequin-esque, where there's only sort of 8 of them, and then they've got quite powerful guns. They got fly all the time, but they're quite glass cannony. I could potentially see that, but I feel like it's going to be a box of 10 in the box. Let me know if I've missed anything here from the video that stuck out to you that I've glossed over, because we're about finished talking about the cinematic trailer now, right? So we're going to talk about the official leaks. I call them official leaks because these leaks come from Warcom. They accidentally uploaded some images in German early, before kind of the go moment, right? So we've got a shot of what looks to be, it's German, it's Soldat, which is just German for soldier, right? Which appear to be 4 basic troopers for the Scions. The models look really cool. I think for me, they look much cooler than the currently available Scions. Like, the proportions are more realistic, and some of the armor plates, like, they're still recognizably Scions. They got the trim on the chest plate, but some of the armor plates around the knees and the feet there, they seem to have a bit less trim going on, which, Paint and trim's not my favourite things. That's pretty good. I don't think Games Workshop put these out on purpose, because I think they invest a lot of time and energy into their official marketing stream that we're going to see at 4 p.m. today. But it is a little bit suspicious, I think, that if they were they've not uploaded the really exciting things, have they? It does feel a little bit like they're trying to wet our whistles, right? Like they've uploaded the basic troopers, and we haven't. So we're still really excited to log into the stream and see all the specialists for the first time, and see what specialists there are. Yeah, I'm quite hoping these models come with alternative heads. We did see the cinematic trailer. The sergeant had the classic beret head. I quite like mine to all have the classic beret heads. I think I like painting faces, and I like the idea of the berets. But I must admit, the enclosed helms make more sense when they're doing that grav insertion. So we'll see how that goes. The jump packs are chunky, but they do look a lot like grav chutes. So I'm really expecting these to have rules similar to the grav chute equipment for the Phobos team. So just to recap that, the Phobos grav chutes do two things. They let you have your grav chute deployment, right, which is a free 2-circle normal move with fly for everyone with the grav chute at the start of the game, as long as you can't combine it with the recon dash, right? You have to be in your deployment zone. And then when you drop off a vantage point, you can move as though you had fly, as long as you don't move higher than the vantage point, and you only move lower than the vantage point. I think I could see them working that way. Maybe a full team with that much forward deploy will be a bit good, but then again, it depends how good they are in other ways. We haven't seen, for example, right, in the cinematic trailer, we haven't seen a plasma gun, we haven't seen a melter gun. You might want to assume they have that. We haven't even seen a plasma pistol. So you might want to assume they have those things, but if all they have is a sniper rifle, right, and hell guns, or, hotshot las guns, whatever they're currently called these days, the massive amount of increased mobility, it could be balanced. Obviously, if they have the full suite of a melter and a plasma and a sniper and a grenade launcher, might start to feel a little bit bonkers. We'll have to wait and see, but I could see them working like Reaver grav chutes. Yeah. Okay, so that's we've done the cinematic trailer, and we've looked at the official leaks, which I think are pretty cool. And now we're going to look at we'll talk about the latest Valrak stuff. Now, nobody else has really been talking about this, but I thought I'd throw it in there. So Valrak's on a one-man crusade to derail the hype train, I think, because on the eve of the first box of next season, Valrak has started speculating about the second box, right, of the next season. So Valrak has said that the next box, as far as he knows, is Ogrins and Ratlings versus, his exact words are, armoured orcs on the ground, right? Now, I think the most significant part of this rumour, like I said, barely anybody's covered this anyway, but the most significant part of this rumour, the most exciting part of this rumour, because it feeds into the speculation, like the long-range speculation that we can do for the back half of this season of Kill Team, is apparently both teams are new models with no upgrade sprues. So it feels like this season we're getting the Warcry treatment, right? We're getting two totally brand new bespoke teams in every box, rather than what we were used to getting, which was two brand new teams in the first box, and then a team, and then a second team with an upgrade sprue going forwards. So that's really cool, if that's true, okay? And I've put a picture of the big mechs here. I could see this as a fun paired box, right? Especially if there's Ogrins and Ratlings, and then the big mechs come with the current big mech kit comes with a little grot oiler or ammo run or whatever it is. But if they threw in a few extra grots, so you had your Ogrin team with your 3 Ogrins and your Ratlings running around, and your Orc team with your big mechs and a few grots running around, that'd be fun. Maybe a bit daft, but the first box is flying versus flying. The second box is big guys and little guys. I don't know. I could just see it making sense. Let me know, orc play. I'm not an orc guy. I don't really like orcs, to be fair. Let me know. Does a new Mega Knobs box make sense? Does that kit? Because it is a plastic kit, but sometimes people think plastic kits are a bit too old. So let me know what you think about that. Obviously, Valrak's given us very little. Armored Orcs on the ground, that could be anything. It could be a return of Ardboys, although they're not going to reuse that name because it's an Age of Sigmar name, but like, that kind of idea. It could be anything. It could be a brand new unit. But let me know what you think about that. Let's talk about some of the evidence that supports what Valrak's been saying. I mean, apart from Valrak's excellent track record, he did accurately predict, like he said, it was Kroot versus Silence. He does occasionally say some stuff that's wrong as well, like he said that we're going to get Swooping Hawks and Kill Team Space Hulk. But he does have a way of predicting the stuff that's right. You just have to be able to discard the stuff that's wrong. So let's look at some evidence that we're going to see what he's predicted. So there's a couple of things. First of all, there's this rumor engine from way back when that I think everybody that knows 40k lore, when they first saw this rumor engine, was like, oh yeah, there's going to be ratlings. Because you've got here what is clearly an Imperial Guard ammo box surrounded by sandbags, but hiding in the ammo box you've got a whole roast chicken, what looks like a massive pork pie, and a cocktail shaker nestled in amongst the grenades and things. And that, whatever that is, that screams ratlings to me. Because the whole thing with the ratlings is that they're like space hobbits, basically, with the whole, we've had one breakfast, yes, but what our second breakfast? Like they're good at shooting, and yes, they're a bit sly and sneaky, but mainly they like to eat and have a nice time. So, and they've got this kind of Sergeant Bilko-ish like thing of the guy in the various war films as the guy that can get you stuff. That they've kind of got that vibe going on as well, like that, like the little fixers of the Imperial Guard regiments. So I can see that being like part of the narrative terrain, maybe, that comes with brand new ratlings, or a scenic base for the ratlings. I don't know, but it does really definitely seem ratling-esque. Now, they're clearly doing something with orcs. And again, almost nobody's mentioned this. A lot of people covered the first two, and then the third one didn't get much coverage. We have the Chalnath dispatches. So we had the first one from the Imperium point of view, the second one from a Tau point of view, and the third one is from the Orc point of view. Now, the first and the second one from the Imperium and the Tau point of view, they do mention Scions, and the Tau one doesn't actually mention Vespid. It mentions like certain auxiliaries. Like, they're really coy about what they're actually advertising, and I think people have only read them and gone, oh yeah, it's clearly this, because they've already had the Valrak rumours to go on. So it's pretty obvious there's something coming from orcs. Now, what's weird is that the orc story really focuses quite hard on commandos, and obviously we're going to talk in a minute. We think commandos might be leaving the game in 2025. We're going to talk about those rumours again. And when a friend of mine, Oro, read this, he said, well, obviously the new orc team's going to be commandos, but like with an upgrade sprue. Because if you remember your commando sprue isn't like other kill team sprues. Because even like the Vet Guard and some others are sprued out as if to be 2 normal sprues plus a little half sprue of upgrades for kill team, even if it was never released separately. It feels like a team with an upgrade sprue. Same with the Vitiates, it feels like a team with an upgrade sprue. The Commandos were just 2 sprues, they never had an upgrade sprue. And so what Oro thought, and I can totally see this reading the story, that you get Commandos and then like a big mech to go with your Commandos, right? Or something of that ilk, like a mech boy to go with your Commandos. Which would be cool, because it would mean that people who still had the Commandos, well, they could still use them, and they wouldn't be optimal, but they could still use them, and that would be quite elegant. But I don't think they're doing that, just based on what Valrak said. I think if they were going to re-release the Commandos again, Valrak would have noticed that, maybe. Now, if you read the stories, all of these stories kind of fit in with this idea where they're talking about other forces, and they mention the new teams before the end. So I find it hard to parse exactly what's going on with that orc story, but definitely it can be a big tick in the box of something green-skinned this way comes. We can definitely say that. And so combined with what Valrak started to mutter, obviously it's very unclear, but we'll see some detail about what might be going on with the orcs, as we move forwards through time, right? I want to look at the 4chan rumours. So these have been really covered as well. Obviously, each of these 4 topics, right? The cinematic trailer, the Games Workshop official leak, the new Valrak rumours, and now this 4chan stuff. If I'd been at home, each of these would have been its own 20-25 minute video. And now here we're on minute 20 and we've kind of rattled through all the topics, but nevertheless, I want to say my bit about them, right? So the 4chan rumours, for those of you that haven't seen them, they're over here on the right. These apparently came from the World Team Championship, and there are some people there that were currently testing Kill Team 3. And apparently this has come from the Spanish community. And it sounds like, from reading around the subject, that this has been that thing where some people have been discussing something in Spanish, and somebody else who's on 4chan has heard them and is bilingual and has decided to come and take that to post on 4chan. So they've been doing that thing where they've been talking in Spanish about something, assuming that only the other Spanish people could hear them, and then I think that maybe what has happened. That could all just be a fairy story to try and lend legitimacy to these rumours, they are from 4chan, which is the equivalent of the man with the end is an eye sign that screams at you outside an off license. So, take it with a huge dump truck of salt, but let's go through them anyway. So number 1, the rules that annoy everyone, especially obscure, will be reworked. Yeah, I can believe that. I think that what has to happen is that we have to get rid of the zone of death, right? This idea that you can be too close to a piece of terrain to be obscured by it, but not close enough to gain cover from it is weird and daft. I really hope that the rules are reworked to be similar to 40k, so that if you're have a piece of heavy terrain between you and the person shooting you, you are obscured. And if you are inside the piece of heavy terrain that's between you and the person shooting at you, you are in cover, but you can be seen and shot. And that way it would work a lot like 40k, and it would let them release ruins with, I've said this before, it would let them release ruins with flaws, which is what I would really like to see. So I'm pleased to see a rumour that obscures being reworked. Overall, the rules remain the same. It's a soft reboot, similar to how the 9th was compared to 8th, rather than 8th compared to 7th. Yes, that makes sense. And that's kind of what we were all expecting. 3 is the big spicy meatball. Okay, 1 year after the start of the first season of this edition, all the teams from the first season of our current edition become legends. Now, I'm sure most people have heard this already, and they're going to have thoughts about it. Some people say this is totally ridiculous. Totally. Actually, I believe it. Yeah, I believe it. I know some people are unhappy, and I think it's fine. If this makes you really unhappy and you're like, well, I'm going to buy less and I don't like this, then that's a reasonable response. But I don't think it's ridiculous. I think what will be ridiculous is if they kept adding 8 teams a year and never retired any teams from competitive play. Because people have said to me in my comments, like, well, yeah, but in 40k, if you buy a box of models, that box of models doesn't become invalidated after 4 years. That's true. But in 40k, they don't add 8 new armies every year. Like, it's really tough because it is a skirmish game, so a squad is a whole army. And I just don't think they can keep adding 8 armies every year and keep them all really finely competitively balanced when they want to run the kind of very competitive game where there's golden tickets, including thousands of pounds worth of flights on the line for the winner of a tournament. I think they have to keep it so that certain things are excluded from top-tier competitive play. Okay, they have said all teams are going to be rebalanced, so I think every team is going to get a set of rules right at the start of the new edition. Hopefully they're free. They've been free for 40k, free for Age of Sigmar, free for Warcry. So hopefully we don't have to go out and buy a compendium. Hopefully we get a nice PDF. That'd be good. And the new edition is expected really soon. Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to obviously hopefully see later today in the preview. Widely expected to come out in September. I get the feeling. Don't ask me how I know. I get the feeling that the people in Games Workshop's influencer program are now starting to receive their copies of this, which would generally, gazing the tea leaves, would generally imply to me that it was going to go on pre-order in about 2 weeks. So the start of September, pretty bob on. And then it's a big release, probably a 2-week pre-order period. So probably it releases middle of September. I would think. Don't know anything. Right, just piecing. with my red string, things that I've seen. Right, so yes, let's have a little proper talk about Legends. Let's chat about Warhammer Legends. So, what even is Legends? You might not know. If Kill Team is your only game in the Games Workshop kind of ecosystem, you might not have heard this term Legends until this week, okay? And if you ask different people, you get a different opinion. For some people, Legends is basically death, it's the grave, and for other people, Legends is just fine, it's just another place where your rules can be. Officially, Legends is where they publish rules for models they no longer produce. So if they've stopped producing a kit, but they previously produced it, they put its rules in Legends, and the idea is, if you people who own it already, you can continue to use it forever. But it's not for top tier competitive play, because obviously if they put a unit in Legends and that unit's really powerful and it's allowed in top tier competitive play, people on eBay will start charging each other hundreds and hundreds of pounds for that unit, right? And Games Workshop doesn't want that. They don't want the kind of Black Lotus, thing where people have there's this really, really powerful thing that the company no longer makes, but it's really, really powerful. So it's to try and avoid that, right? In 40k, it feels like nobody ever plays with Legends. And I always have to mention the cartoon vampire. I always say my second favourite cartoon vampire after Count Dracula, which is a YouTuber called Christian von Carmian, who one of his real hobby horses, I've said this before, is that people who play 40k specifically should be less afraid to play with Legends around their kitchen table and in their club. I think 40k as a game, I'm going to go off-piste here for a minute. 40k as a game has this very strange thing where, okay, I played a game of 40k with a big multiplayer game of 40k, right? Had great fun because I was hanging out with my mates and chatting stuff. I don't think 40k works as a big competitive game. It's a fun way to push your toys around and spend a long, lazy afternoon with your good friends. I personally don't play it competitively, and I could never consider going to a 40k tournament. But for whatever reason, even though I have models that I could use in Legends, like Repressors for my Sisters of Battle, don't use them. Because they're Legends, and I don't want to feel like I've won a game or done well in a game or given my opponent a negative play experience because I've used a Legends unit that might be in some way broken. Because the problem for me with Legends is they're not actively balanced. So once something goes to Legends, it tends to get parked. I think Legends would be a much less of a negative if, okay, it's in Legends and you can't use it in official tournaments, but we're still going to tweak it and include it in our balanced data slates and things, because that's the real problem. Once it's no longer being used in tournaments, it's no longer going to be in the stats, and therefore it's no longer going to feature in Games Workshop's concept of balance, which is slightly problematic for them. But in Age of Sigmar, the studio is putting out a far more pro Legends line. They put out a whole a whole Warcam article saying we really want people to use Legends in casual match play. We think they're part of the game. We just can't have them in competitive play because we don't sell the Underworld warbands anymore, right? And for those of you who have seen my video, not many of you, because it wasn't a popular video, because it was about AOS, but I did a video recently while I was away on the difference between the AOS app and the 40k app. And one of the differences is the Legends units for AOS are right there in the app, and you can just click on them and they're there and you can use them. And go and watch that video if you're really interested. That has positives and negatives to it. So in a way, what Legends means depends on because Games Workshop isn't a monolith, right? Obviously, the AOS studio, I think, is putting out a more pro Legends vibe than the 40k studio, as it were. And then you can look at the Old World. Now, the Old World doesn't have Legends per se, but it has this thing called Legacy Factions. So when the Old World launched, they put out rules for Lizardmen, Dark Elves, Skaven, Ogres, Vampire Counts, Demons, and Chaos Dwarves. And then they said, look, we've put out rules for these, but we're not going to make any models, and they're not valid at tournaments, so you probably shouldn't use them. But if you really want to, and you've already got the models, you can. And all the independent tournament organisers for the old world went, no, sod off, we're using legacy factions. They're fully legal in all our events. You basically, Games Workshop, you can do one. And the old world, I guess because as Warhammer Fantasy was a game that was totally unsupported by the company, there are a lot of people out there with the old world that be like, yep, we'll take your re-release miniatures, thank you for that, thank you for the support, thank you for the rules, but we're not going to be totally in hock to your tournament organising and your organised play, because we're quite happy off here doing our own thing with our own organised play. We're going to use all these legacy factions, and if they need tweaking because they're overpowered or underpowered, you know what, we might do a community update for them, right? And we don't need your rubber stamp. And so there's different vibes in different games, and how happy they are to sort of leave officialdom, right? So I guess what I'm saying is that Legends is what the community is going to make of them, right? And what different TOs are going to make of them. So, for example, because I watch a lot of Glass Half Dead stuff, he said somewhere that, you know, as far as he's concerned, if he is TOing a game, an event, right, and someone says, hey, can I use these things from Legends? He's going to be like, yeah, of course you can, because the more the merrier, which is good vibes and a good attitude. I do think, though, we have to be a little bit realistic in that we are a highly competitive and well-supported Games Workshop game, is Kill Team. I think it's only Kill Team 40k and Age of Sigmar this is true for, right? But we have the golden tickets that people can win to go and see, to go to Worlds, right? So Games Workshop controls those environments. Yes, they control Warhammer World, and they run some pretty casual events of Warhammer World as well, but they control Warhammer World, but they also control Worlds and the Worlds program. So if Games Workshop says, look, Legends aren't allowed in competitive play, and that includes golden ticket. You know, if we're providing price support, Games Workshop could say, if we're providing price support in terms of this golden ticket, right, then you have to follow our tournament pack. Your tournament has to be set to a certain standard, and it has to therefore not include Legends. That's what I could see killing Legends in Kill Team. The fact that it's such a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because we're supported a lot more than, for example, the Old World guys, right, by the company. We have the golden tickets. We have people getting free flights, right, being flown out to the US, and there are other people who don't get the free flights, but they get the free entry into the event. All this, I think the hotel room. Don't quote me. I'm not a top-tier player. I've been to a lot of golden ticket events, but I've never felt like I was going to win one. But you know, because of that, does that then allow them to say, look, but you've got to play by our playbook? I don't know. They haven't been particularly prescriptive so far in terms of saying what the format has to be. You know, from what I've spoken to Jason at Not's Kill Team, we haven't spoken about this Legends issue yet, so I don't know what his take's going to be on that. Could have asked him, but I've started recording the video now. But you know, I've spoken to him a bit before. Games Workshop don't really seem to care that much, but it's whether they decide about this thing to go, yeah, of course you can't use Legends teams in your event if you've got a golden ticket. That might kill it. But then there'll still be, you know, the kind of smaller events, the kind of like, you know, 14 people in your local shop type event. They could still decide easily to allow Legends. So we'll just see where it lands. It's not a foregone conclusion, and I do think, you know, if you look at 40k, for example, and this was highlighted to me by my second favourite cartoon vampire, if you look at like the Crusaders and the Death Cult Assassins that were recently taken from the Sisters Codex and put into Legends, they actually got updated rule sets with cool new abilities when they went into Legends. Like, they did actually make an effort. It wasn't like, oh, and here's just you can sort of play it, but obviously it's dumbed down and rubbish. Like, we're going to look in a minute. Some of these teams that I think are going to go into Legends, I think they will get a new rule set for this edition of the game. And we will get fully reworked. They'll just be in Legends. So, you know, I don't think it's going to be a case of the rules aren't good. I think the rules are going to be pretty good. Let's see. We'll see. So, I want to add in a little speculation here of my very own. The Star Striders. I did a video on this. One of the videos I did while I was away, I said the Star Striders were probably going away. That looks like it's happening. So Star Striders have been reboxed. If you look on the website, this is their new box. All the nice Kill Team branding is gone. They're no longer called the Euclidean Star Striders. They're now called the Rogue Trader Entourage and Voidsman at Arms, and they're part of the Imperial Agents faction. And crucially, this hasn't happened to the other kill teams that are in Imperial Agents. It hasn't happened to the Arbites. It hasn't happened to the Voidsmen. Okay, not the Voidsmen, the Navy Breachers. Okay, and it hasn't happened to the Inquisition Warband either, but it has happened to the Rogue Traders because I think they're leaving Kill Team. And the Galapox you can no longer buy, they don't exist. So I really feel like the annual 2022 teams, which just to remind you here, we've got the Galapox Infected, we've got the Euclidean Star Striders, and then the 4 White Dwarf teams as well, potentially the Thousand Sons, the Mechanicum, the Wormblade, and the Harlequins. I feel like they're all going to go to Legends on launch because they now all fit the category of we don't sell these. Okay, obviously the White Dwarf teams never had an associated box product. So, again, this is my speculation. This is kind of building off that 4chan rumour. This is what I think is going to happen with Kill Team. So I think the new edition is going to launch. And I think we're going to lose support straight away in any way for all the Compendium teams. Right? So, top line there is just all the Compendium stuff. I don't think that's going to be a thing. So if you're one of the people that's been playing, it's generally big Custodes, Death Guard. Those are the ones that I've seen at events still, right? Some people might be playing Hive Fleet, some people might be playing Grey Knights still, I don't know. But, if that's your team, I don't think you're going to be playing those anymore. I think they're going to lose altogether. Because I don't think they're going to write Legends rules for all of those teams. They might. They might surprise me. They might be like, look, we know we never made a team for the Custodes, the Death Guard, the Tyranids, so here's a Legends team. The Grey Knights, here's a Legends team. The Death Watch even could get a Legends team. Those are the kind of the main ones that haven't got a direct replacement or an upgrade. And then I think that the following teams are going to go to Legends on launch, right? So you've got the Euclidean Star Striders, the Galapox Infected, and the 4 White Dwarf teams, the Admech, the Thousand Sons, the Wormblade, and the Harlequins. And then I do believe this. I know some people are really upset about this, but I think then we're going to start this rolling thing. So I think September 2025, we're going to get the Octarius teams will go to Legends. So that's going to be the Orc Commandos, the Veteran Guardsmen, the Sisters Novitiates, right? The Tau Pathfinders, the Chaos Legionaries, the Eldar Corsairs, the Phobos, and the Blooded. I think they're all going to go to Legends in a year, in September 2025. And then in September 2026, I think we'll see some more teams go to Legends. Now, I've put the Intercession in this row because if you look in the balanced data slate, they class Intercession as a Season 2 team, right? So I think they will retire them when they are retiring the Season 2 teams in September 2026. So I think that's going to be Intercession, Kroot, Navy Breachers, Hierotek Circle, Kazakin, Hand of the Archon, the Adeptus Arbites, the first Votan team, the Space Goats, right? As well as, it's going to be a really big loss because I think this was a really big season because we had a full season plus Intercession plus the Inquisition and the Chaos Cults as well because we had that extra box, that red box, right? And then finally, I think that going Legends in 2027, we're going to have the Aspect Warriors and the Scouts and the Night Lords and the what are Mandrakes, yes, and the Brute Brothers and the Hernkin Jaegers. I didn't know where to put Strike Force Justian. They're either going to go disappear on launch like a Compendium team or go to Legends on launch, I think. I don't think they're going to stick around until September 2025. I just don't know what they're going to do with Justian because Justian was such a weird release. But I think we're going to settle down into a pattern then of getting to September and then we'll lose as I've laid it out on a table, we'll lose the next raft of teams which will have been replaced by 8 new teams. And I think that's... Look, it sucks. I saw one comment on the Discord that's like, oh, I've got 9 teams and they're all Compendium or Season 1 teams, right? And then there's going to be people that are like, oh, I just bought Commandos yesterday or I just bought, Galapox Infected. Yes, I only just finished painting. Like, and to an extent, I'm in the same boat. I've got a Vet Guard. I've got a full Vet Guard roster that I've never painted. It's built and undercoated and on the shelf, and I've never painted them. Right? I've got Pathfinders that are built, and I've never painted them or played with them. Right? Novitiates, I feel like I've got a good run out of them. My Orcs I sold, okay. Legionaries I never had. Corsairs I never had. Phobos, I got Phobos built and painted. I played them about 2 games with them, right. And then the Blooded, I never played the Blooded. That's another team that I kind of gave away. But, so I get it. In a way it sucks, but in another way I think it's really important to the health of the game. So I'm really I'm ambivalent, right, in the actual meaning of the word ambivalent. I feel quite strongly in both ways that it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a bad thing for individuals, for their individual stories, right, of like the positions that people are in. Like, I get it. And the money thing's really hard for me, because it's like, well, you spend £35 on a box of Orcs, and the box of Orcs lasts you 4 years. I think that's fine, because it's like 10, 12 quid to go to the cinema, and that lasts for like 2 hours. So 2 hours for you. But people see things differently. Like, people are... I'm not wealthy, and I'm not coming at this from a position of I've got loads of money, and therefore it's fine. But I do seem like the same people that will complain, like, oh, I've only been able to use these Orcs for 4 years, but there might be people who go to the cinema, or who buy a bottle of whiskey, or who go for a nice meal out, or all these other things that don't last and are more expensive. So I think 4 years is a fine lifespan. I'm sure I will have enraged some people in the comments. I do understand there will be people that are like, I haven't had my Commandos for 4 years. I bought them last week. You can go to Element Games and buy a box of Commandos now, and then they only have a year, and that's a very different calculation then, isn't it? So I think if this pans out to be true, at least we will know. And then you will know when you're buying something, you're painting something, you'll be like, right, so I'm now very unlikely to go back and decide I'm going to finish my Krieg, knowing that I've got a year, right, to get any use out of them. Honestly, I'm very unlikely to go back and do any Season 2 teams either, really. I don't know, but knowing that, but I still don't think it's an awful thing. It's just a thing. Like Sunrise and Waves, What about the replacement narrative that I think lends credence to... now, this could be me grasping at straws, but I think this lends credence to this 4chan rumour. I think Games Workshop are hinting at a replacement narrative. Go and watch the trailer again after this video, but go and watch the trailer again. The gratuitous butchering of the Pathfinders. Right, and then when the Vespid appear, the Vespid are elite and cool and kill all the Scions. Like the Pathfinders just die like chumps, and it's very funny to me how hard they die like chumps. Like 3 of them died to the stupid robot, and if you read the first channel of this batch on Warcom, the Imperial channel of this batch is about how they can't get a normal... Like, they go through all these, oh, what about this regiment here? Oh, what about this regiment here? And it feels like they're saying, oh, like, Vet Guard are done, Vet Guard are a spent force, because they're going through all these different regiments that they can't recall because they're all dead or they've all been eaten or whatever. So they have to then redeploy these Scions to save the day. And the Orc one is more coy, because it is mostly about Commandos, which is a little bit weird. But it does include, like, a bit where the boss is musing, like, don't need a way in, don't need that sneaky blood-axe git to find us one. This is all mucking about. Me and the lads can bash down the Umi City walls and stomp them. And then that would make sense if they were going for, like, mega armoured Orcs, like me and the lads bash down the Umi City walls and stomping them because they don't need all this mucking about. Like, I don't know. Is Games Workshop hinting that they're going to steadily replace all these first season teams in their narrative? Is it in the text? I don't know. But it's worth thinking about. So how can we think about this and predict the future? So some of these teams have already got obvious replacements. So if you look at all the teams, what I've done is I've put in the legendary teams column all the teams that I believe are going to Legends when the edition launches, and all the teams that I believe are going to go to Legends by September 2025. right? So I think we're going to lose the teams on the left-hand side by September 2025. I think we're going to lose the Star Striders, the Galapox, the Admech, the Thousand Suns, the Wormblade, and the Harlequins pretty much straight away. And then in a year, I think we're going to lose the Commandos, the Vet Guard, the Pathfinders, the Novitiates, the Legionaries, the Corsairs, the Bloodied, and the Phobos. Now, some of these teams already have teams that I think narratively replace them. So, for example, the Wormblade, Brood Brothers pretty much do the same thing Wormblade does, right? Not necessarily mechanically, but like stylistically and narratively. Commandos can be replaced by whatever Valorac's printed Orc team turns out to be. Vet Guard, the Dropship Scions, Pathfinders, the Vespids Stingwings, and then some others like like Night Lords are clearly Legionaries 2.0, right? Aspect Warriors feel a bit like Corsairs 2.0. Chaos Cults feels a bit like Bloody 2.0, and Space Marine Scouts feels a bit like Phobos 2.0. So you look at that, I look at that table and, you know, Star Striders and Galapox are these weird things. They don't need a direct replacement. There's not like a rule that says we need to have a second Rogue Trader team or a second Chaos, like, Nurgle polluted Spacefarer team, right? But you look at it, you've got Admech, Thousand Suns, Harlequins, and Novitiates. Well, sorry, Harlequin fans. I think we can ignore Harlequins just because Games Workshop have rolled them into the Eldar Codex now, and so they don't obviously view them as a top-tier faction in the same way. But the ones that really leap out to me as needing new teams are the Sisters and the Admech. Because those are, like, important. Like, those are factions that can genuinely be somebody's real favourite faction. Like, they're a big main banner faction for Warhammer 40k. And I think that having them totally unrepresented in Kill Team is not tenable. So if we accept that we know from Valarac what the first 4 teams for this season are going to be, the Scions, the Vespid, the Ogrins, and the Orcs, that means we've got 4 teams left to fill in. 2 of them are likely to be Imperial. We don't get an Imperial team in every box, but we usually get an Imperial team in every box. I feel like we're likely to see a Sisters team and an Admech team. Of course, they could do Custodes, Grey Knights, or Deathwatch, or they could do something else like Tax Collectors, right? Something off the wall. We're already getting an Ogrin and Rattling team, right? So that's something off the wall. But I really would expect to do a Sisters and an Admech team. And then facing off about those, I kind of think we will get a God-specific team. Whether they will do Thousand Suns again, which will be fine, right? Whether they get Death Guard a turn, right, that never escaped the Compendium last time, or they'll do World Eaters, they could get a team, or even Emperor's Children, depending on how it lines up with the 40k release schedule. But I could see them doing one of the 4 God-specific kill teams, potentially, and then that leaves one more as a wild card, something new or unexpected, you know, something like whatever this season's version of Beastman is going to be, right? Something that we couldn't possibly predict. Or it could be Tyranids. But at this point, them refusing to do Tyranids is kind of a meme. So, maybe not Tyranids. I don't know. That's my vague speculation, I think, going forwards. If everything else that I've said and thought comes to pass, we might get a new Sisters and a new Admech team during this season, in the latter half of the season. So, final thoughts. Listen, I might have ended on a dud note, potentially talking about the 4chan rumours and things going to Legends. Honestly, when I put the slides together, what I wanted to do was start from the most nailed-on stuff, the cinematic trailer, the official leak, and then we get into Valarac, and then we get into 4chan, so it starts from, like, most confirmed to most, like, wild and out there, which I think made narrative sense for the video, but I hope I haven't left anyone on a downbeat note. We should be being really hype for today's reveal stream, right? 4 p.m. today. So I will be live blogging the reveal at 4 p.m. today, and then I'll be uploading a video shortly afterwards that I'll produce. I won't be doing a watch-along, so everybody always asks, Phil, do a watch-along. Personally, I don't like watch-along content. There are some content creators, like Last Half Dead, that I respect so much that I will go and watch their watch-along content afterwards. If I don't even know if Glandy's doing it, but I'll go and watch it afterwards, like a couple of hours later. But I never watch them live. I always want to watch the actual thing live, right, and form my own opinions, right, and then do it that way. So I don't produce that content because I'd have to sacrifice my watching of it, like, privately myself. But what I do is I'll tend to live blog on Discord, so I'll do screenshots and I will transcribe what's going on for people that maybe they're at work, you know, people that can't be at their computer at 4 p.m. on a Saturday. Maybe they work in hospitality or a hospital or whatever it is, or maybe they're in another country, right? And it's not a convenient time, so I'll do that. And then usually what I'll do is that helps me then because I make the screenshots while I'm live blocking, and then I've got my screen captures which I can then use and my notes, and then from the live blog I can make the video. So if you want to be involved in that, if you want to be in that Discord room that I'm going to create, do join the Discord. The link's in the description. You should join the Discord anyway. Let me know your thoughts on everything I've put forward in this video. Like, what do you think about the cinematic trailer? What do you think about the leaks, the official leaks, right? What do you think about the latest Valorant rumours? And what do you think about the 4chan rumours? We've got 4 really big topics that we've tried to cover off in one video. Do consider subscribing and sharing, right? Because we're going to get to this point now where all the people who are part of the influence program, like, this isn't me being, like, they deserve it, right? I'm not trying to attack them or anything, but all the people that are in the influence program are going to be getting their boxes now and filming their content really early and in good time, and I'm just going to be sitting here twiddling my thumbs without any of that stuff. And the only way, as far as I know, that I can get my channel like potentially noticed by Warhammer community and potentially start to get early copies of stuff is to get that subscriber number way up, so it's like the most visible thing of a successful channel. So please subscribe. If you are subscribed, please consider sharing as well and recommending my channel to other people. I saw somebody gave me a shout out on the Kill Team Reddit the other day, which was like, oh, thank you. I don't really participate in Reddit very much, but like it did when someone else pointed out to me that had been mentioned. I was like, oh, that's lovely, right? And a big thank you to all the people who are members of my channel, who actually pay me money every month. That's amazing. And I just want to shout out to my members. Don't forget to vote in the Tell Mr. TI What to Paint Hobby Challenge. I think I have like 23 members and like 13 votes. So there's, almost half of you haven't engaged with that yet. And right now there is a clear winner. But there's enough people to change that if they coalesce behind a different faction. So have a look at that. Right, I'm going to have to... I've been going for nearly an hour. And I'm going to be back just after 4 o'clock with another video talking about the reveal stream when we've had it. So look forward to that. And I'll see you then. Alright guys, thanks for listening. Don't forget to comment. Let me know what you think. And join the Discord, all those things. And cheery bye for next time. Cheery bye. Bye-bye. Bye.